Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where this week I've been living with this 2026 Lexus IS 350 F-Sport design all-wheel drive. And as some of you know, this is a bit of a special interest car for me because I personally own a 2003 Lexus IS 300 with a 5-speed manual. And that car taught me a lot. It was the first rear-wheel drive car I ever owned. It was the first four-door car I ever owned. And I think it was the first Japanese car I ever owned. Lots of firsts for me, which means it's extra special to drive new renditions of the Lexus IS when they come out. I always look forward to it and I always love it. And well, for 2026, the third generation IS has gotten a quote, glow up, as Lexus calls it, as they said on the press release. I think it's because they're tired of saying it's been facelifted because it's happened 4 times. We're on the 4th facelift since this third gen IS came out for the 2014 model year. And well, I understand. It's kind of the way that they're able to keep this car alive since the sport sedan is a bit of a dying breed. And for 2026, they've given it a new front fascia to kind of go in with this new hammerhead corporate design language. The dashboard, some of the interior is different, and these wheels are different. Now, I was a bit confused when this car showed up because I thought that all of the new 2026 ISs were F-Sports, and technically they are, but this one is an F-Sport design, which means it's only the design. It's pretty self-explanatory. So the wheels are a squared setup as opposed to staggered. You don't get the special suspension, you don't get the seats, and there are a couple other things that you miss out on, but you do still get the F-Sport look. Now this starts around $47,000 as spec'd in infrared over Palomino, which I think is just gorgeous, and a couple of other options that we'll have down in the description for you guys. This one comes in at about 52 grand. Now the actual F-Sport car is only a couple grand more. The difference from trim to trim, they're only a couple $1,000s, and there's like 4 or 5 trim levels. But the main sort of sad thing for 26 is the IS 500 is no more. This is your only engine choice, and it's still the 2GR 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 with 311 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Since this is an all-wheel drive model, it has the ancient 6-speed automatic transmission, and it's all-wheel drive. We've already said that. But you're also able to get this in a rear-wheel drive configuration with an 8-speed automatic, and that's probably the one I would go for unless you have to have all-wheel drive if you live in Michigan or something, as I do, but I would probably still get the rear-wheel drive car and throw some snow tires on it. Anyway, though, tonight I figured I would take you all along with me as I have to run some errands. I'm going to put some fuel in this thing. I have to stop at the grocery store and grab a couple of items, and I figured we'd talk about what it's been like to live with this for the past few days. But first, we'll poke around it as the sun kind of sets behind the trees and the clouds here, giving a nice bit of aura to this all-wheel drive IS 350. I do want to start with the wheels and tires because these are a squared setup, which makes sense for all-wheel drive, but you do get staggered on the regular F-Sport, and these are on a Bridgestone all-season and a 235/40 R19. These wheels are new for 26. I think they look pretty good. It's just such a, as an older person would say, such a sharp-looking car. I had someone tell me downtown Saline the other day that my truck was sharp, and it made my day. So I want to start calling cars sharp. This is very sharp, but we'll show you the trunk, which is actually pretty sizable. And unlike my first generation IS, the back seats fold down, which means I was able to fit my mountain bike in here earlier. Went mountain biking with the Topher. Underneath the trunk floor, we have the best thing you could ever find in a sedan. That is a spare wheel and tire. And this actually saved me, not in this car, but we had an IS 500 last year, and I ran over a nail in my parents' neighborhood, and I was able to throw the spare on, and then I think Discount Tire, was it Discount Tire or Bell Tire, somebody patched the tire for free. Lexus and Toyota are always big on putting spares in cars still, so I love that. You got a handle for the trunk. I believe my IS 300 has that as well. It's a good thing. Something my 03 IS 300 doesn't have, though, is a V6. Mine has an inline 6, but for the second generation car that started in 2006, they put this engine in, and it's still here. It's still here. Like, what is it, 20 years? Yeah, 2006, 20 years later, we still have this. It was updated in like 2015 or something, but it is still a 2GR. Again, 311 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. And you could tell how old it is by this vintage Lexus engine cover, which I do think looks quite good. And they do give this hood struts, which means you don't have to deal with the stupid clip braking like you do on the first generation IS. But I think this is so funny that all these years later, we still have this V6. And we have the 6-speed auto that this came with when it debuted for 2nd generation as well. Why don't we show you the back seat? Kind of a place of contention with the Lexus IS because, you know, the IS, it's always been a little bit of a smaller car in the segment. And now, especially since this hasn't grown in 14 years or something, whatever I said earlier, 13 years, it means that the back seat is still a bit snug. At 5'11", sat behind myself, I have just enough room. My knees barely caress the back of the new Lux seat. These aren't full leather like you would get in a full-on F-Sport car. Pull down this little center console here, which has some cup holders that pop out. Check it out. But otherwise, we'll close the door. You know, it's decent, and actually headroom is totally fine. Even with a camera on my head, it is just barely touching the headliner. I think Lexus has preserved this design well enough, though I think the facelift that this got in 2020 or 2021, whenever the last one was peak, because now it says Lexus on the back in script, and I don't know. I just don't know if this really fits the vibe. It's kind of a mishmash of like 15 years of design in this car, but it does still just work. I love the lines on this car. The infrared really complements it quite well. Let's go ahead and jump in. We'll get started with our drive for the evening. Your first look at the front seats, again finished in Palomino, which I thought that name sounded familiar. I realized that Mercedes-Benz had a Palomino interior, so I Googled what that is, and it's a horse. It's a type of horse, and it's this color. Don't you know? All right, let's get in and fire it up. So many new things for 26 with this new glow up. And some of them are good, some of them are not good, mostly not good in my opinion, because they've kind of taken away a lot of stuff from the interior that I liked. For one, they got rid of the analog clock. That's not good. They got rid of the CD player. That's a shame. Now we have this new updated infotainment system. Yeah, whatever, that's fine. And they've kept the shifter, they've kept the drive mode selector. And where the touchpad used to be, they put a volume slider and 2 massive heated seat buttons. But they have sort of taken away more than they've given us. They also got rid of the cool special IS-specific steering wheel. And now we have one from a Lexus RX 350, though at least it does still have paddle shifters to control the 6-speed automatic. And I do like that they kept this actual like physical shifter here. And they've left a climate control panel, which is fine. But there's just sort of this empty space here now where a clock should be or something. I do like the new vent designs that they've done on the dashboard. I think those look pretty good. The mirror, yeah, that's okay. It does actually feel kind of cheap. Actually, is it dimming? It must be dimming. And then center console is decently big. I've got my hat in there right now. You've still got 2 cup holders. You've got a wireless charger, which I'm not using because wireless chargers, I think, are one of the worst inventions to come out of my generation because it just makes your phone hot, especially if you're running wireless CarPlay, which this does have, as you can see. Pretty much the same infotainment as every other new Lexus or Toyota. Built-in navigation, all the stuff, wireless CarPlay, Android Auto. And I think the biggest bummer in here is that they got rid of the gauge cluster that slid back and forth and was mechanical and was like LFA inspired. I sit in this now and I just feel like I'm in an RX or an NX or something. It's just, it's not as special. It's fine, it's functional, and there's enough physicality in here, but I don't know. I'm a little sad about it. So let's go drive it, talk about what that's like. Into reverse, you can see the 360 camera pops up. Parking brake will automatically disengage. And this does have the surround view monitor, I believe they call it, with the transparent sort of undercarriage there, which used to be off-road tech. Now it's just in everything. Reverse camera quality, kind of middle of the road. It's not so HD that I can see individual blades of grass, which is always kind of the test that I like to run. Now, I've always liked the Lexus IS because it kind of splits the difference between sports sedan and luxury sedan, and it's why I initially chose it back in 2016. There goes Keone and his manual Chevy Cruze. It's the reason I chose this over a BMW 3 Series in 2016. Well, that and because I didn't want to be fixing it every weekend. So this third generation car obviously still employs that same sort of philosophy, and with the reliability, because since we still have the same engine pretty much that we did in 2006, it means it's proven. Technicians know how to work on it, and it's naturally aspirated, so it isn't very complicated. The only price you pay for this is that it does still feel very old. In fact, the 2006 IS350 made 306 horsepower, which is only 5 less than this. So when they went through and revamped it in 2015 or whatever, they only found an extra 5 horsepower to give to it. But the engine is really the least of my worries as far as feeling old. You know, I still very much appreciate a naturally aspirated V6, and I think more things should have them. The thing that dates this car the most is the gearbox. The 6-speed in this is actually 20 years old. They haven't made any changes, at least that I can notice, in the last 20 years with this transmission, which means it's a bit sluggish. What really put this into perspective for me was I was shooting the Winding Road day drive on this car a couple of days ago, and I came around the sweeping left-hander up here that we love, our favorite corner in these videos, and I was following a Fusion hybrid, and upon exiting the corner, I floored it, and I could not catch him. I'll insert the clip of that now, because obviously I was filming during it, you guys can see. And it's because the transmission wouldn't kick down, and I had it in sport mode. It's just, it's a very conservative slush box, sort of self-preservation-y gearbox. And if that's your thing, you know, you want to buy a car that's going to last you the next lifetime, like you could probably buy this and it would outlive you, that's great. But if you want something that is quick-witted, I don't think that this is going to be your choice. Which is why I liked the IS500, because it kind of spiced things up a bit. It had the V8, it had the faster shifting 8-speed, which you can still get the 8-speed if you get this car in its rear-wheel drive configuration. But let's put this into sport. Manual mode is your friend if you want to do sporty driving. Use the paddle shifters. That's what I found out. And this engine may be old, but dang, does it sound good. And this isn't a slow car. It gets out of its own way. You know, obviously with it being all-wheel drive, it is a little bit more sluggish. But it does rev for ages, all the way up almost to 7,000 RPM. But I think what I like most about the all-wheel drive is that if you need to get out of somewhere, you need to pull out, you've got traffic coming, you just floor it and it grips. And the all-wheel drive system in this is pretty sophisticated, even though it is a bit old. Toyota and Lexus corporate run an RC350 with this exact all-wheel drive system in SCCA Rallycross, and that thing absolutely rips. Let's get it off the line. Go 0 to 60 in what feels like to me, my butt dyno, around 6 seconds. If you don't want to use the paddle shifters, you can shift this down here on the console. But anyway, from a performance standpoint, you know, this isn't really a car that I super enjoy driving fast. What I like doing in this car is what we're about to do. We're jumping on the highway, we're going into town, we're running some errands. That is where this all-wheel drive Lexus IS350 really shines. Initial throttle tip-in this IS350 is quite nice, quite progressive, quite natural feeling, which makes sense with this being naturally aspirated and old. They've had plenty of time to dial this in and make it feel good. Brake pedal feels nice as well. Shifts from the 6-speed slush box here are fine when you're just driving around. You don't notice them. They are a little bit rough when you're really getting on this and putting it through its paces, but look at this. We're getting a nice open entrance ramp today, so we don't have to worry about doing that. But I was telling the Topher earlier that I really enjoy this as a highway car because you have the torque to merge on. And then once you're on here, it's quite a lovely, serene sort of experience. And that's kind of what sets this aside from something like a 3 Series or a C-Class or even an Audi A4. I mean, this is easily the most comfortable out of all of them. And even this base model car, without the leather fancy F-Sport seats. I mean, this doesn't even have lumbar support, which is a bit disappointing, I will be honest. It's still cozy. I've had no problem with these seats. I put 175 miles on this car this week, and I've been comfortable for every single one of those miles. You know, this is a car that I like falling into, even when I'm tired. I drove Emily to work this morning. I had woken up like 10 minutes prior, and I was so excited to get into the IS350 and just have a nice sort of cozy cruise to the office for her. And I think that's kind of what this car is all about these days. Now that the IS500 is gone, the manual transmission is long gone. If you're going to get the all-wheel drive IS, hopefully you like cruising, because that's really what this is for. And even the gearbox, you know, it's only got 6 speeds, but the gears are so long. I mean, at 79 miles an hour right now, I'm just over 2,000 RPM. The engine is quiet, but it isn't too quiet. You can still hear like a good amount of that silky V6 if you want to. It's just sort of all the right stuff, you know, all the right sort of sports sedan cruiser equation. It's all here. They've figured it out. Other metrics of sitting in this, I like that the center console is wrapped in leather because your leg does sort of rest on it. And I think they've actually improved this a bit for 26. I feel like I complained about this in an IS500 road trip once or something, but this is great. It's a very nice padded, like New Lux material sort of thing going on. That's very nice. Left leg doesn't touch anything. The door panel's nice and open. And then elbow comfiness is sublime. This center console is nice and squishy. The driver's door panel is about the same. And it means that you can just set yourself up so perfectly to cruise in this thing. I'm a big fan. Ride quality is great. This has just a fixed suspension. You can opt for the AVS, the adaptive variable suspension, if you go for the full-on F-Sport IS350. It's not even an option on the F-Sport design. Neither is the Mark Levinson sound system, so this just has a bass system, which we'll test probably once we're leaving the store a little bit later. Still a very good sound system. Lexus doesn't mess around with that. It's surprising to me how many things they leave out of this F-Sport design car and put on the regular F-Sport car that's only a few $1,000s more expensive. I don't know why everybody wouldn't just go for the full F-Sport. But I guess if you don't care, then you could have this one. Even though the steering wheel doesn't look as cool as the old one, it does still feel nice in the hands, and we do have physical buttons as opposed to the version of this wheel that they put on the higher trims of the RX, which means cruise control is very easy. It's one button, that's it. And you're done. You're in cruise control. Lane tracing assist is on as well, and your distance adjust for the adaptive cruise, that's all on the wheel. Everything happens on this right-hand side button panel. Do I miss the little stalk that came off the side of the wheel? Yes, I do, especially because it was on the 2025 Lexus IS, or at least I think it was. Didn't it have that still? I feel like it had that little switch down here. That switch was the best. Same one that I have on my 03 IS300. Cruise control seems to do a pretty decent job, but my favorite thing about it is how easy it is to engage and disengage. Just boom, boom, one button there, and that's it. I don't think I've ever driven behind a Focus ST that's been so conservative. It's taken this so easily, but that's okay. I'm calm and collected here in my Businessman's Express today. Oh yeah. Gauge cluster layout is customizable. I've got a G meter on the left because I think G meters are cool. And then on the right, I've got my total average MPG from the week. Over the last 180 miles, I've done 20.4 MPG, which I gotta admit is a lot better than I thought this would do. I thought with this being like just an ancient naturally aspirated V6, it would do something like 17 or 18 MPG. But no, it's doing 20.5 now. Look at that, even with quite a bit of spirited driving mixed in. I think if you drove this like an old fart, you could get this to do like 22 or 23. Highway NVH is spectacular. You can whisper in this car. It's no problem. You get the smallest amount of road noise in this. But my goodness, does Lexus know how to insulate a car. Seriously. I think it's why their bass sound systems always sound so good, because there's nothing for it to cancel out. It's so quiet in here. That's just the thing. Suppose we'll still try to make some noise here under the overpasses. See what the V6 has to say. 4 auto up-down windows, by the way, and they do go pretty quickly. Seeing how much more I can diminish my fuel economy. I think she's going to hold strong at 20. I had to take it easy there because we got a little bit of traffic here, but not too bad. It's a very modest, sort of grown-up sounding V6. I do like the drive mode selector. Very easy, and only 3 modes: Eco, Sport, and Normal. It's very easy, and each one has its own individual input. So you twist it left for Eco, you twist it right for Sport, and you push the button down for Normal. You never have to guess what mode you're in. You don't have to go into the screen to change drive modes. It's just right. Obviously, that's something they kept from the pre-facelift car. This is Japanese, so it will have the fuel filler on the driver's side. I'm going to go all the way to the end here. Easy. Love the way this shifter feels, too. No sort of button on here to lock it out. It's just, you just put your foot on the brake and that's it. A little bit of comfort access. We have a power adjust steering column still, but no memory seats that I've seen. And if it did have them, I suspect they'd be here. And that's just a bunch of blank switches. I've checked everywhere. I checked in the middle. I checked on the door panel, and I just think we don't have them. This IS350 has about a 17-gallon fuel tank, so we'll see how much fuel it takes. I don't think there's any sort of popper here for the fuel filler. I think you just push on it. Yes, indeed. Premium fuel only, no diesel. Okay, noted. Geez, this is the cheapest premium I have seen in a long time. Look at that, under $5 a gallon, $4.89. Don't you guys miss the days when gas pumps didn't try selling you stuff? What is this trying to sell me? Tires. Oh, I was just talking about Discount Tire. Okay, they can advertise in my video because they patched my last Lexus IS tire for free. Just over 9 gallons going in there. Guess we had just about half a tank left, just under. Ah, how about that for a receipt? Okay, straight into the garbage you go. Ingress and egress is fantastic. You are seriously able to just kind of fall down into this car. I think they've added the new chime too. I feel like the old one just beeped. Anyway though, nice that the steering wheel kind of gets out of your way as well. And then speaking of the steering, it has a really nice sort of medium lightness to it. You are able to pull these parking cameras up with a physical button if you're worried you're going to smack the curb, but I think we have enough room today. Yes, we do. Nice medium lightness to the steering. I don't know that this really has like the sort of pulling taffy feel that I like to talk about on Lexus cars. It has that on kind of a very mild level, but I think the steering weight is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change anything about it. Gearbox is very conservative when you're just driving around town. It's shifting very early, probably just trying to get the best MPG that it can. This is actually rated at 22 MPG combined. So we're not too far off of that. 26 or something like that on the highway, which is just wild. Brake pedal's a little noisy when you pull your foot off of it. Just something I've noticed this week. It's like I feel like I'm not that violent with my pedal work, but the brake pedal makes it seem like I am. Oh, there is somebody in my favorite little end spot, but that's okay because the whole row is open. We'll get this parked up. We'll use our cameras. We'll go right here in the middle between these guys. I think this IS is just about ideal daily driver sedan size. I mean, it is just perfect, especially if you're like a single person or it's just you and your spouse, you know, like such an ideal package here in the IS. All right, let's see what it looks like in a parking spot. Spoiler alert, it fits perfectly. There you go. And I bet you could open this back door if you had a kid back here or something. Just about all the way. Yeah, no problem. Cool, well, I'm gonna run into the store. We'll hit lock on our key fob, and we'll be back out in a flash. Walking back up to the IS 350 with just a single bag of groceries, you'll find my favorite thing on a four-door car, and that is rear proxy key. Check that out. Your hands are full. You want to put something in the back. You don't have to stop at the front door handle first. You can get straight into the back. That's fantastic. And this should be a note to all other manufacturers. Even a car from 2014 can find a way to have rear proxy key. So I'm going to put my bag right there, but we'll show you what it looks like in the trunk as well. First aid kit's rolling around a little bit. Not a whole lot of solutions back here for hooking things, it looks like, but obviously the trunk is big and we showed you that earlier, so you'll be just fine. Pull that shut, we don't need it. Stick the bag of groceries right behind the driver's seat. There it is. Let's continue our drive and we'll exit the parking lot while playing some songs through the bass sound system. When I say some songs, I mean a song. The sound system test song. I have to pause from my yacht rock. That's okay. Here we go. Don't love the new location of the volume knob, but at least it's still here, so I really can't complain. Got the knob down here, or you can use these physical buttons here on the steering wheel. Just turn your volume down, but it's easier to use the knob. Now, I always compliment American manufacturers on their bass sound systems, but I always forget how good bass Lexus sound systems are. My 03 IS300, that's just a standard, regular Lexus premium audio. That sounds fantastic. I had an 03 GS300 back in the day too, and that had an unbranded system. That was fantastic. Even better, I would say, than the Nakamichi in my old 98 GS400. Lexus, you know, they don't mess around with sound systems. This sounds really good. It's crispy, it's got some power. They always put the subs on the rear deck, so, you know, you have that nice sort of punch from right behind you. It's just good stuff, and happy to see them kind of sticking with that even into 2026. And I think the oldness of this car is what makes it so good, and also in some ways kind of bad. But, you know, these cars that are new yet also old, they can kind of go one of two ways. They can either be very charming and lovely and good to live with, or they can just simply feel old. And I think this one, it kind of walks the line. It's very close to the middle, but it does end up being quite charming. And I think especially to me, just because the Lexus IS holds such a special place in my heart, but this car does feel modern enough still that I think it's fine. And if you opt for the rear-wheel drive car with the 8-speed auto, it seriously does feel like 10 years newer, which would make it feel like a 2016. But hey, that's still quite new. But I think with driving so many new electric vehicles, and also cars that have been completely Tesla-fied, like the new Mazda CX-5 that only has a screen, it puts it in perspective, and it makes me appreciate these cars that do still feel a little bit older. Now, do I think that everything they've done with this interior was a win? No, I don't. But I also don't think they've completely ruined it. You know, we still have buttons on the steering wheel. We still have a physical climate control panel. We still have a volume knob. We've got physical buttons for our heated seats, our drive modes. All that stuff is still physical. I just don't think it looks as good. I don't think it's as classy. And that's a bit of a bummer to me, because the old IS interior was classy. It had the clock, it had the CD player, it had, you know, there were things that were just sort of biblically accurate for Lexus. And yeah, this new one, I guess it's the same way for the new era of Lexus. But I think if they were going to keep any car sort of like comprehensively old, it should have been the IS. So I don't have a problem with what they did on the outside. The inside, not the biggest fan. But as an overall package, I think the IS is still relevant. I think it still plays an important role in the sports sedan segment, because not everyone wants to be crashing around over bumps and being uncomfortable in their seats and things. Like, this is still a nice, luxurious cruiser. And that's what it is, I think, over a sports sedan. So just keep that in mind if you're shopping this between like a 3 Series or a C-Class. You know, BMW is going to be kind of your sportiest option. This is going to be the least sporty option. I'm just noticing this ambient lighting. Check that out. Okay, not mad at that. And yes, the all-wheel drive hump is still here, but, you know, I haven't really noticed it. I actually had to check, like 2 days after driving this, if the massive sort of protrusion was still in the driver's footwell. Oh yeah, it's still here. I once talked to a Lexus brand rep at the Northwood Auto Show where I went to school, and she told me that some customers liked resting their leg on it. So I guess there you go. My leg never touches it, but maybe if you were really tall and sat really far back, maybe your leg would rest on it. I don't know. Anyway, though, I don't know why I keep ending at this structure, because the roof is always shut. I do like that the cameras automatically come up.
Please select it. Welcome.
Also, the slot always says it's full, even when it's not actually full, so we shall see. Maybe the roof will be open tonight, but they do close it at 9 p.m., which is in 8 minutes. Check it out. Okay, here we go. You know what? I need to park right here because we can show you a direct comparison of the 2020 facelift, or 2021 rather, and this 26. From the back anyway, I think the biggest change was just the Lexus script. Yeah, because the taillights, the taillights look about the same. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you prefer the Lexus badge or do you prefer the Lexus script? Actually, now that I'm seeing these next to each other, I don't mind this as much, but I think they both look good. Can't show you the fronts because these cars are parked nose in. I think the white on that means F-Sport handling, so that one's got the adaptive dampers. Anyway, count the distractions in this video. right, we're just showing you the maneuverability while parking. It's all good stuff. Cool. Well, I guess we've pretty much summed this one up. The Lexus IS still feels like a Lexus IS, but now with a slightly worse interior. That's kind of what this adds up to. But seriously, jokes aside, you know, being witty aside, the interior's fine. You'll be okay. But if you're looking for something that still feels a bit more special, I don't know, maybe shop for like a 24 or a 25. And if you've got a little bit of extra cash to spend, you could go for the IS 500 and get the naturally aspirated V8, which is maybe what I would do. And it's such a shame that they killed that. And I feel as though this may be the end for the Lexus IS. I don't know if there's going to be a replacement, but at least for the third generation car, I could see this fizzling out by, I don't know, maybe 2030 or something like that. And I just hope that whatever Lexus replaces this with, I hope it still feels like an IS, because they've had such a good thing going for such a long time. I really hope it continues. Well, that has been a small glimpse into my week with this 2026 Lexus IS 350 F-Sport design all-wheel drive, finished in infrared over Palomino. I hope you guys all have enjoyed hanging out with me on this little evening, day in the life, little grocery run type of video. Figured we would just kind of take this on the old loop and see how it acts. There's some people enjoying the sunset up here. We will leave them to that. I always love driving a Lexus IS. Makes me want to go drive my 03. Should do a video on that. I don't think I've done a video on it in years, so it's probably time. This video is reminding me to go drive the dang car. So that'll wrap it up. Let me know if I left anything out. If you guys have any questions, please leave those below. But let's show you the outside of this one last time, and that'll be a wrap. It's still pretty. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys again all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.